Kellyanne Conway describes her life and Catholic faith in her new book, Here's the Deal, a memoir. I recently spoke with Kellyanne to talk more about the challenges and triumphs on how her faith got her through it all. Talk to us about your time in the White House. I mean, you've had a remarkable career, including being the first woman to successfully manage a presidential campaign. And might I say, with a candidate who was not only a Washington outsider, but someone who had no previous political experience. So talk to us about that, path to victory for President Trump and for you and your time in the White House.
Well, I learned early on and followed my career arc this way to really respect what other people have to say. So pollsters need to be good listeners. Mom needs to be good listeners. People working in the White House need to be good listeners. And I learned to listen and appreciate and almost just adore, Tracy, the essential wisdom of Americans. They have some really fantastic ideas about how to right our wrongs, about how to solve our problems, about what our priorities should be and could be. I think if we played, take your constituent to work day, we'd see a very different Congress for a day or a week if we had those who are represented actually being the representatives, and that might work. Why do I say that? Well, because I had the benefit, really the privilege, the blessing in my career to work in all 50 states as a professional pollster, market researcher, as a focus group moderator. I've had that privilege, and listening to people and understanding that they don't all wake up and think about politics. In fact, very few do. But what is it they wake up and say? And reflect that back to them. And you find for so many people, their faith, whatever the faith is an essential component of who they are and how they spend their time and the choices and decisions they make. And that was always incredibly important for me. I've always felt like a little bit of an outsider. I was the only kid in my class who didn't have a father growing up in the little Catholic school in the mid-'70s. I'm an only child. I say until Mother Nature, puberty kicked in, I was always taller than the boys, chubbier than the girls. I always felt a little bit like an outsider. And then I dared to try to succeed in a male-dominated business, Republican consulting, Republican polling, and got elbowed and worse, and never really had that seat at the table freely given by the men in the consultancy who always greased each other on the gravy train, walking RICO violation, really. But it made me fight harder. I can just shrivel up, go under the desk and cry and hope the emotional shrapnel doesn't hit me and say it's really unfair, oh, poor me, or fight a little harder, work a little smarter. And that's what I decided to do. And there I was as a quasi-political outsider who wasn't part of the sclerotic, almost corrupt consultancy that kept failing upward with people like John McCain and Bob Dole and Mitt Romney, and then said, you have to hire me. I worked on the last campaign. Well, and you lost. So that all said, I was ready for that moment because I had studied and I was a student of Hillary Clinton. I know what all her shortcomings and the problem that the country had with her integrity and her transparency. And there was a political outsider, Donald Trump, plucking me, not at the age of 29 or even 39, Tracy, but 49, to run that campaign in the last few months.
Kellyanne, I know we're running out of time, but I really want to ask you this. You had so many successes, and then you also had your fair share of challenges in the White House and at home, like so many of us do. Talk to us how you got through those times with grace, and also how your faith helped you.
Well, I tell my own children, I tell a lot of other people, Tracy, that nobody can make you feel badly without you giving your permission. And so far, I'm not granting it to anyone. Why? Because I know who I am. God made me. He has a plan for me. And I like to say now, and I really want to convey this to your audience, what God has created, no man or woman can cancel. And it's a great message, particularly at a fraught time such as this, and particularly for our young people in school, on the college campuses, who feel they must conform, they must comply, they must submit, they must be silenced. They can't really be who they are, even though they're told that's what college is all about. Be who you are, discover, learn, grow. And my faith is always guiding me. And also my faith also compels me to understand who my real friends are and are not. And then, my true friends who are like my family and my actual family will be holding my hand throughout this. But also, my faith lets me understand how blessed I am to have these 4 children. And there's nothing that even comes close to that. There's nothing that can be touched by motherhood. Nothing. It is the greatest blessing of my life. Those 4 children, as I write in my book, are the 4 chambers of my heart: George, Claudia, Charlotte, and Vanessa. And they know how much I appreciate love and respect and am in awe of who they've become and who they're still becoming, because they're all teenagers. And they know they've got my unshakable love and unconditional support. And we, in large part because, again, I know who God made me and God made them and gave them to me. I put my very last line in the book, and I thought about my faith as I wrote this, as I typed this last line, Tracy, was that God has given me burdens that did not break me. And he has given me blessings beyond what I could have imagined or deserved. Amen.
Kellyanne, thank you so much for your time today. Wonderful conversation. Good luck with the book, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you. Please pick up Here's the Deal. It's a great read. God bless you, Tracy. Take care.